I was the first brother to fight, doing whatever I had to do to survive. I'm not saying what I did was alright. Trying to break out of the ghetto with my day-to-day fight. Been out so long, ain't nothing else for mine. I knew there was a better way of life, I was just trying to find. You don't know what you do till you put under pressure. Across 110th Street with hell tester. Across 110th Street, trying to get your boy in the across 110th Street. Across 110th Street. On the street. Oh, across 110th Street. You can find it on the street. Across 110th Street. Goldie. Across 110th Street. This trick on the street. Oh, across 110th Street. All in the street. Let me stop messing around. Let me stop messing around, man. Let me stop messing around. No drunk drivers. No drunk drivers. Y'all see the title? Is this thing on? Let me make sure right quick. We good? We good? I guess so. Let's go ahead and rock with it. I was going to do a pre-recorded video, but it take time with doing all that stuff, man. So I figured I'd go live. Right? Give y'all the jewels and the breakdown of what I saw on this interview. It was a lot of jewels. Whole lot of jewels. I'm like, you know what? I haven't did this in a while, so I'm going to do this interview break down. Let's get into it. Phylicia Rashad. She's one of the queens out here, man. So when she spoke, you know, they was listening. And I saw that. I saw how she commanded the room. But I'm going to get into all of that. And I took a lot of notes. So bear with me. I'm going to be looking down. And then I'm just going to give my thoughts on some of the things that I wrote down. Hopefully the microphone is okay. Hey, let's get it cracking. Oh, yeah, if it don't apply, let it fly. I know I like to say things that hurt people's feelings. I'm not trying to hurt nobody's feelings. I'm just speaking on truth reality. That's it. Legalize racism. She was talking about her upbringing and how racism was legalized. And that's something that I'm not going to expound on legalized racism, but I do want to kind of dive into the word legal. Because I see a lot of people when they try to substitute being legal as a person of high character. And that is false, right? Because think about it. If racism was legalized and you are a law-abiding citizen, because this is what the one of the phrases that a lot of people use to substitute character and values and morals. If you are a law-abiding citizen, then you are subscribing to racism because you're following the law. Hence, it was legalized. So during quote unquote slavery, I like to call it the mass human trafficking. If you adhered to the laws, then technically, I guess you were not doing anything wrong, but you were brutalizing humans, right? Cutting the babies out of the pregnant women and feeding them to the alligators. That was legal. That was legal. So you were a law-abiding citizen. So when people say that, do not let them trick you into thinking that they are a person of high character and morale. Next, community. She talked about community. I spoke about this before. Community, that's something that I believe is lacking in today's society. It takes a village. You always heard that phrase, it takes a village. And it does, because I guess to simplify it, you're not around someone 24/7, right? So you can be instilling what you instill at home, but as soon as that person walks out of your line of sight, then it's up to them to carry out whatever you have taught them, which is the right thing. But kids are going to be kids, especially we're talking about teenagers and things like that. They're going to do stuff, they're going to get out of line. So if a neighbor sees them, right, then they can have that correction, or another family member see them out and about that their parents do not see. They can be corrected, they could be readjusted, they could be aligned. A lot of times kids are out here with no supervision. um, I don't want to say they're raising themselves, but they find ways to thwart any type of supervision, or they know how to put themselves in situations to where they're by themselves. They can avoid the adults, or some type of orderly person, right? But if you have a village, you have other people pushing the same message under the same value system, and they see them out and about, and you gave them permission to correct them. Chances are it's going to decrease the percentages of them falling out of line, because now they know they have other eyes on them who have rights to correct them. But I don't think we have that going on in today's society. That's something that was probably, I don't want to say it's antiquated now, but I do think that um, it's lacking in today's society. Nobody wants anyone to say anything to their children, even though their children is wrong. I see it all the time. Don't say nothing to my kid. It's my kid. It's my kid. Well, tighten your kid up then. Yeah, tighten the kid up. Nobody wouldn't have to say nothing to your kid. If you tighten them up, your kid is not perfect. Oh, not my baby. Oh, yes, your baby. Yeah, your baby doing all of that nonsense. Right? So it's just one of those things. But let's get to the next one. She said something about creation. I think the quote is, separate from who created everything that is. I like that phrase that she said. Mm. Separate from who created everything that is. So she was just talking about how society has done that, to where they separated you know, from who created everything that is. That can be interpreted in many ways. Me as I interpret things as me, as a black man. So when I hear that and I see, creation and the stuff that I studied, and knowing that a lot of things came from African civilization back in the days, like way, way back in the days. We're talking about BC, 10,000 years BC, and all these other things, right? These things are not taught. And so when I saw that phrase, that's how I interpret it, as society has separated us from who created everything that is, separated you from yourself. So now you have no identity, and then you attach yourself to something that does not fit you. This is why you see a lot of people who look like myself, they are disgruntled. They walk around angry. They don't know what's going on. They don't know how to decipher the society that we live in, right? Because they've been indoctrinated in something that does not fit them. It was not created for them. I'm just speaking my truth. It is what it is. You can get mad and mad. Hey, it is what it is. I'm standing on it. That's why I'm here. See my face, right? I'm not hiding. See my name. Not hiding. I'm standing on it. All right. Teach history. She spoke about that. That's huge. I like that. Teach history. One of the reasons I feel that you should teach history from your perspective. I don't want to say your perspective, but just a truth in it. You got to understand that history is his story. So when you're dealing with humans, a lot of times they're going to paint a picture through their lens, right? They're going to paint that picture through their lens. It's not necessarily them being deceptive, although a lot of times they are because humans are deceptive people in general, but they're teaching things through their lens and throughout time they've shown, or the powers that be have shown, to omit important information that can be pertinent to your growth and development. So that's why you have to do your own research, kind of engage and seek out a world view, right? Because there's many different scholars all across the globe. It's not just in the United States, all across the globe. And when you start reading what they and how they deciphered whatever the information or their interpretation of the information, it's a lot different than what you may receive in Western civilization. So yeah, teaching history is very crucial and critical to one's development. And so when I began to study history from my lens and people who look like me, this is what formed my personality, my opinions, and it's very difficult to try and trick me out of my position, right? I know certain things, right? And so because of that, I see things for what it is. I see it for what it is. I don't want to go too much on that because I took a lot of notes. This is off the dome, brainstorming. You know what I'm saying? Getting it off my chest. All right. She goes to family. This stuck out to me because when she was talking about her father, she was talking about her father. She talked about her mother as well, but I'm just things that stuck out to me. Her father said her father was a man's man. She spoke very highly of him. And she spoke about two phrases or two principles that her father instilled within her, which were never let anyone run over you. And the next one was always know the balance of your bank account. So I thought that was funny. But when people are speaking and they especially enlightened individuals, they will leave breadcrumbs. They're not going to give you the full course meal. They'll leave crumbs. Some people will give you the full course meal, but unfortunately, a lot of people do not have the attention span to absorb a full course meal. I'm not one of those individuals. I like the full course meal because I know just through my experiences throughout life, nothing is easy. Nothing of value. If you're seeking something of value, it's not going to be easily obtained. It's going to take a certain amount of discipline. It's going to take a certain amount of knowledge, education, and things like that. So when I hear people, with short attention, they say they have short attention spans. I'm not talking down on you. If that is you, just know that it's you're almost aligning yourself with taking shortcuts. And a lot of times nothing good comes from taking shortcuts. It's kind of like fast food in a sense when it comes to knowledge itself. So yeah. But let me get back to these quotes. Never let anyone run over you. Yeah, I like that phrase because especially as a man, that's something that we kind of pride ourselves on. Never let anybody run over you. stand 10 toes down and all these things. It's easier said than done. I can honestly say, speaking and looking in front of this camera, right? Um, that stopped. I want to say when I joined the military. That was it. Now, before the military, you may have got off on me. I'm trying to think. I think it was 5 times. I think I may have spoke about this before. I can think of 5 names. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is all throughout high school. Well, I don't say all throughout high school. All throughout going to school. I still remember them names, man. It's etched in my head. Oh, they got me. They got over on your boy. I should have been throwing hands. I should have been throwing hands. Hey, here I am. I'm old, 40 plus years old. I still have not forgot about that. I should have been throwing hands. And I don't see these individuals, by the way. I don't see them nowhere. I don't even see them online. But yeah, I should have been throwing hands. I still remember that. But that's what fueled me to become a type of man. I'm not saying I'm the baddest man in the land. I will say, and I can honestly say this in front of this camera, that I have not ran. If it's something that I have with conviction, I'm just going to take whatever come along with that. That's just what that is. I'm going to take whatever come along with it, whatever it is. But nobody can say that I ran. Oh, man, he ran, especially if it's something, a principle or moral. You disrespecting me. No. I'm not going to run. It is what it is. Now, there's a fine line between avoiding conflict and running. You know what I'm saying? There is. That's something that maybe I should break down in a different video, because I think the youth, they have a misunderstanding of that, avoiding conflict and then running. Not every conflict needs to end in type of battle or warfare. What you need to understand, especially as young men, when you engage in battle with another man, men hurt each other, men kill each other, right? Or men, men hurt or men kill. So you must understand that, and that comes from having an understanding about nature. Even bears and lions, tigers, and all the you think of all these big bad animals. You think they go around just trying to kill everything within their path? There's sometimes they make a decision. They make a decision. I always give the example of the honey badger or the wolverine. Even though the bear is 10 times or 20 or 30 times its size, right? You would think the bear would just demolish the honey badger or wolverine. Well, think again, because the honey badger it's one of those. It's either the honey badger or the wolverine. It's known to, and I've seen it on video where they back bears down. I guess word got around with those bears or throughout the bear community that these honey badgers or wolverines, when you engage in a conflict with them, they'll get up under them and they rip out their testicles. Yeah, I mean, it's not funny, but it's just something. It's a it's a something that they do. So word got around. Hey man, don't mess with them fools. They crazy. They got some screws missing. They don't have nothing to lose. They attack with reckless abandon, right? And so bears will they'll make a business decision. It doesn't mean that they're scared of them, but is it worth it? Why fight this honey badger or wolverine and risk my testicles getting ripped out to shreds when I can just go and go along, go about my business, right? Stay out of his area and get my food from another source. That way I don't have to risk losing my manhood. You see what I'm saying? So it just, and nature does this. Nature does this. And these are the biggest and baddest animals on earth. But even them, they make decisions. Is it worth it? That's something that you have to be able to calculate. But that comes from maturity. That comes from knowledge of humans, knowledge of people, knowledge of society. and things like that. So next one, always know the balance of your bank account. I like that one too. Um, I took that as it seems like you're cross your T's, dot your I's. Never be too entrusting. Always know that you're dealing with man, humans, individuals, right? Always know that you're dealing with them. And the possibility of being deceived is always there. I'm not saying that you should not trust anybody, but if you are going to trust someone, at least make them earn that trust. At least make them earn their trust. But also never put yourself in a position to where someone can screw you over. That's the way I took that. Even if you're married to him or whatever, hey, you got yours, but I got mine, just in case. Now, if it never happens, it never happens. But just in case, I'm gonna make sure I'm good. That's the way I took that. And then, hey, those are uh words to live by, right? So let's get on to the next one. I believe, yeah, she said light is not heavy. So I believe this is something that she was responding to about maintaining a certain image, and do you feel the weight of that? Like, because everybody knows her from the Cosby Show, this Picture Perfect Family, and she's always carried herself with a level of class, dignity, professionalism, on camera, out of camera, and people see her as a role model. And so the question was presented to her: does she see that as a kind of like a burden? And so she quickly responded as no, because light is not heavy. Hmm. And that was deep. That was deep. Light is not heavy. So meaning if you move right, you move in a positive fashion, it's not heavy. It's not a burden. You do the right things, it's not a burden. If you're not messing people over, it's not a burden. You don't have to look over your shoulder or anything like that. Um, and so I like that. I admired that. I like that response because you can tell just throughout um, her career, she did not run away from that, right? And so that's something that I respect and salute from her. Uh, let's get to the next one. Access to people. Too much. Is it necessary or good? I guess she was responding or talking about social media access. One of my phrases are too much of anything is no good. And that's something that you can apply all across the board. Too much of anything is no good. No good. No bueno. No bueno, I say. Too much of anything is no good. I want to expound on that, but there's another point that I get to, yeah, go in my bag on that one. But just know that too much of anything is no good. And being easily accessible 100% of the time, that's cool, but make sure these are worthy individuals that are worthy of that. Right? You don't want to give too much of yourself to people who are unworthy. That's how you end up getting messed over. Another thing I noticed, and this is my one of my notes, I put image and Phylicia Rashad's image. So what comes to mind is no smut, professional, commands respect. And I seen throughout that whole interview, she changed the whole entire environment. Even though that platform sometimes they can get dirty, right? Gossip and things like that. But because she carries herself a certain way, she dictates how people treat her. She does, and you can too. So when you carry yourself a certain way, it's kind of like a billboard saying, "Hey, treat me with respect. Don't come over here playing these games. Put respect on my name. I respect, respect is earned, but I'll give it, right? But you got to earn it." So it just one. I know I'm messing all that stuff up because, like I say, top to the dome. But there is an importance of image. A lot of people Yeah, a lot of people sometimes they're they try to marginalize that and make it seem like, hey, somebody's being fake or something like that just because they're carrying themselves a certain way. Some people may try to even belittle that individual. Um, but nah, because no, you shouldn't do that. I don't want to say you shouldn't do that, but those are just some of the things in society that comes along with people who do try to carry themselves a certain way. And I know, man, God damn it, I'm messing up. I'm messing up on this one. But just know the image that she had and portrays it it shaped the environment and it made it to where she was able to express herself in a comfortable fashion. There were no uncomfortable questions. Um, and you can do that. When you command respect, most of the time you're going to get it. But you have to portray yourself as an individual who does command respect, right? Expansion for inclusion, allies. Huh. She was speaking about that or her times at an HBCU. And I believe people of notoriety. Spoke about Muhammad Ali and others who visited some of the colleges that she attended, or the college that she attended, and he was giving a speech. So it was more about giving back, and I believe that was the context of what she was responding to. Um, and the interviewer was saying that you don't see that much where people of notoriety or celebrity, they don't use their celebrity to give back publicly and things like that. So she was responding to that, and her times at a HBCU giving back, and the way it was described or explained. She said, not only for us Black people, but also let's expand that to humanity, meaning the allies. I may have spoke about this before, allies. And the way I would describe allies, realness has no color. So when you're 10 toes down, that supersedes or usurps any type of color barrier or standard or whatever you want to name that. When you're real, you're real. It is what it is what it is. You're gonna get my full respect. Full respect. Right? And that goes, and she was talking about when she said that all of humanity, she was speaking about Hispanics, Caucasian, and Asians. Now, when I hear that, that has to be defined. So when I say allies, right? Allies are individuals who, well, I'm not going to define it, but just know that, and I can only speak from the Black perspective. A lot of times we think that our allies are people who dress like us, who speak like us, or and listen to the same music as us. So hey man, they're one of us. No, 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 no. It doesn't work that way. Mm-mm. No, it's more than that. And see, when I hear people who look like me speak like that, that lets me know that they do not have knowledge of self. And the reason I say that is when you go into other communities and other cultures, there's a standard, there's barriers. They do not allow you to go in their house and mock what they value. Even though it's different from what you may value, you're not going to go in their situation and mock what they're doing. I see this throughout the land. I see this throughout the country. I witnessed this throughout the country. I witnessed this when I was in Korea, even though I was cool with the Koreans, right? And I show respect to the culture. But as long as I showed the respect, then the respect was given. But I dare not mock what they were doing and what they deemed to be important, even though I may not have understood it and it may not have even held value to me. I dare not mock it because then I would be met with some type of aggression. And so these are the things that I notice, especially within the Black community. We do not hold a type of standard. We don't hold a type of standard because we don't even know our own culture. Our culture has been presented to people, from the outside, Western civilization. No, you have your own culture, so you have to set your own standards and your own barriers, your own value system. right? And so your allies will respect that, and that's what I'm getting to when I say allies. If you're people who mock, always think it's funny, and then when you try to be serious about something and they still do not respect that, those are not your allies. Even though they may talk like you, even though they may walk like you, right? Even though they may mimic everything that you do, that does not make them your allies. And you have to be brave enough to say these things, right? And so just know that, yeah, and this is a teaching moment. That's what this is. So a lot of people don't know. They just don't know. You're not going to know if nobody teaches you. So that's what this is. It's a teaching moment. I didn't know until I was taught. So it's nothing wrong with holding yourself in high regard, holding your culture in high regard, holding your own value system in high regard. I'll just give an example with hip hop, right? Because these is one of the things that associated with black people. If you don't hold it, if you don't control it, and you don't hold it in high regards, you're gonna get the vanilla ices. You're gonna get people Post Malone. Now, there's no knock to no Post Malone, but they sell out shows. People who look like you can't sell out shows, but Post Malone, he can sell out shows. In your culture. Make that make sense, right? I see it all the time. I'm like, how does this happen? It used to be, we all in the same gang and Rakim and all of these things, and hip hop used to be very uh, things of knowledge, of substance. They were teaching you about the all kind of things. Now you can't even find it. Yeah, that's because we lost control. We never controlled the narrative because we did not own it, and because we let others outside into our culture. They mixed and mastered it to where they're going to do it. So now all you see is the negativity being pushed. Well, the negativity is being pushed. This is another way to infiltrate your household, to poison your babies, to poison the youth, have them acting out and executing these false narratives that they think, oh man, this is the only thing that's going to sell. But nobody's listening to that positive stuff. Wrong. Yes, they were. I remember when Kid and Play was popping. Kid and Play was cracking. Ruled the airwaves, right? Ruling. They're making movies, all this stuff. Will Smith, popping, cracking, ruled the airwaves. There was a lot of positive rap music, but that's the example that I'm giving. When you do not own it, when you do not value your culture, others will come in, infiltrate, take over, and push their own agenda. So when it became all about money and exploiting people who look like you, people who look like me, it changed the whole narrative. Hence, you see what you see right now. You see what you see right now. I don't want to go too much on that, but I was just trying to give an example. Hopefully, I did not lose you with that. By the way, ain't no shot to. I just threw out Post Malone because I see artists like that, and I'm like, I would never buy an album or go to that anytime. How does that even happen? Somebody may, yeah, oh man, what do you mean, man? They make good music. How does that even happen? When people who look like me do not listen to that. How? How? That's what I'm getting to, right? What else? Intellect. She spoke about intellect and having a world view. Intellect is very important, and very important is critical to your development. This is just my interpretation, but she did speak on that. Yeah, intellect is very important to your development, especially as an adult, because if you're not well versed or well studied in areas that real life and real life situations that will come your way as you maneuver through the environment, you're going to get tricked, you're going to get manipulated, you're going to get exploited due to lack of knowledge. So it is very imperative for you to do your own research, right? To acquire wisdom, wisdom in the form of people who have experienced things that is very similar to you, and you get their responses, you get their stories, and you're able to apply that to your life. That way you don't have to make the same mistakes that they made. That's what I did. I didn't have to go through a lot of things to know that I should avoid certain people or certain areas of the land, and certain individuals. Yeah, I didn't have to actually experience it. So this could even go as far as in dating. A lot of people always talking about, oh, I can't find the right one. I can't find Mr. or Mrs. Right. And oh, they can't, they're always saying that. Well, wisdom. Why don't you reach out and speak to your elders, right? On how to filter. Because if you don't have any type of filter, you're just going to accept any and everything. Think about that. If you don't have no filter, and that's what intellect does, it implements a filtering process to what you adhere, or what you're allowing to be absorbed into your body. So without that intellect, you're just going to absorb any and everything. So when someone's coming along speaking nonsense or BS, fake stuff, and trying to deceive you, this is how it works. This is how it works because you allow it inside, right? You're listening to it. You're actually giving this person credence. See, when you have true intellect, um, people can't just come along and tell you anything. They can say stuff, but then because you have knowledge of that subject matter, you're able to tell very quickly if they know what they're talking about or not. And once you determine they don't know what they're talking about, you just, all right, respectfully, you just kind of let it go one ear, not the other, and that's it. All right, and then you send them on their way. You don't absorb none of that stuff because you know it does not align with truth. It does not align with the knowledge that you have studied. So, nah, you need to be someone that does study, right? Let me see. Hello. Taking a break. All right. Next one. Parenting. Oh, yeah. So before I move on, I did say something about dating advice. Yeah. So a lot of people do get tricked out of their position. They get tricked into dating the wrong people, due to lack of knowledge. So, and I see this all the time, and it's not me bashing on anybody, but when you're dating someone, please, you get, yes, the exterior, that's one part, and that's a crucial part. Don't get it twisted, it is. But a lot of times I hear people, they hold on to things that does not bring substance or value. I'm not picking on the women, but I'll just start with them, then I'll go to the fellas. Just that way we're keeping it equal, right? A lot of times I hear on the women's side, oh, he made me laugh. Oh, he dressed nice. Oh, he's tall. He's got a deep voice. What else? Those are some of the things that I hear, and I go, huh. Especially, yeah. And you can see this real time, real life. I know y'all have seen these shows. I don't know if it's true or if this is some type of co-play or whatever, cosplay or whatever that word is, that 20 in 1, whatever they have the women on there popping the balloons. And then the man, he gets on there and he's all astute, got his suit on, and he's speaking all intelligent and stuff. And they just pop, 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 pop. They pop in the balloon. And then when he start talking, his man got a business. He's educated. He got a values and morals. He's giving back to the community. He does donations and charity work, all these things. And then a woman gets on there and she goes, oh, well, he just wasn't my type. Yeah, it just seems like he would be boring. Oh, yeah, I don't think he'll be funny. I don't like his shoes. I don't like his shoe. His hair. I don't like his hair. And I'll be like, whoa. And I said, even though I already knew this, but it's one thing to have an understanding of something, but it's another thing to actually see it play out in real time, real life. And I'm going, oh, okay. So this is how you all end up with the wrong men. Look what you're paying attention to. You're paying attention to the man's shoes. You're paying attention to the way the man dressed. and then laughter. Newsflash, let me give you some game right quick. Shoes. Do not let shoes deter you from dating that man. That does not say anything about that man. It just shows that, hey, he's probably not into shoes. But guess what? If he digs you and then you say, hey, babe, how about you try these shoes on? If he don't care about the shoes, then he'll just do it just to make you happy. Oh, okay. All right, fine. He just didn't put any time into those shoes. That does not mean he does not have any money. Shoes are just not of importance to him. But that has nothing to do with his type of character and his value system. Same thing with the clothing. Some men are just not into the clothing. It does not make them a bad man. Newsflash. All you have to do is say, hey, I don't like this outfit on you. Or why don't you buy my outfit? If he don't care about clothing, he's, oh, okay, all right. He may even like it. He may even like it. You just missed out on your Mr. Right because he didn't have on shoes and the right clothing. Things that are tired that changes from day to day. And it's not like you're going to be going out every day, especially if you're chilling around each other in the house. So what are you worried about? Why are you putting so much stock into shoes and clothing? And then a hairstyle. Look at me. I'm bald head. I don't have a hairstyle. Look at this. Straight baldy. This temporary, especially on the man's side. Men lose their hair all the time. Would that make him a bad man? Or his hairstyle whack? Oh man, his hairline out of play. I can't date him. It makes no sense. So when you're putting all this stock into things that does not have any type of correlation to true value and substance, it's no wonder why you're choosing the wrong guy. Easy. It's no one. I go, oh, okay. This is why you're choosing the wrong guy. You're basing it off of shoes. You're basing it off of cologne. You're basing it off of clothing. Wow. And then get mad when he doesn't do the right thing. Wow. It's mind blowing. It's mind blowing. I've always said goal orientated individuals. That is a sign of work ethic. Work ethic, there is correlation, discipline correlation. See, discipline, this is how you can obtain longevity. You hear how that sounds? I didn't say anything about clothing or material. I said goal orientated, and then I broke it down into work ethic. And then work ethic, there is correlation with discipline. Discipline is something that needs to be instilled within children in parenthood and fatherhood. You hear how this sounds? Sounds a lot different than shoes and clothing. A man with discipline, work ethic, right? Goal orientation. What has he accomplished? This is how you can kind of figure out his trajectory. Stop trying to get the man who already at the mountaintop. Newsflash, once he reaches the mountaintop, his filtering system is almost like a concrete wall. Because he didn't been through so much to obtain and get to the mountaintop. He now has that eye. He can spot deceptive deceivers and all kind of things. And you're going to have to work to earn that position to be alongside him. Get him early. Get him early. And this goes back to work ethic, goal orientation, and a getting to know him phase. Stop looking at his clothing. All right, you can get a little swag or whatever, but don't base everything off the clothing. A lot of times you're missing out on the wrong guy because you were not there when he was during his ascension, during his rise. That's when you get the brownie points. That's when you get the man that goes, yeah, you know what I'm saying? She may not be this, that, and this, but she got my back 100%. I need this in my corner. Right? That's how you earn value within a man's life that is of something. It's not through your body and what you're wearing and your flesh, right? But I'm gonna speak on that a little bit more, but I don't want to go too much on that. But yeah, I'm gonna speak on that a little bit more down the line. What else? What else? What else? Oh yeah, on the fellas, same thing. Especially these guys, man. I don't know what's. I guess you can kind of pinpoint that due to lack of men. You can kind of tell. I can kind of tell when a man is not involved in that child's life. When I see a kid, young teenager, I can tell whether they have a male influence or not. I can tell by the way he dresses. I can tell by the way he carries himself. I can tell by the women that he's choosing to represent him. Yeah, I can tell. I can tell by his, and it's easily. So for the young men, I don't know, man. It's like some type of craze going on with the BBLs and all this, and they're just, you're getting lulled, you're getting rocked to sleep just through the physical, and that's equivalent to the women choosing the man based off of his clothing and his shoes. So when you're choosing a woman based off her physical, 9 times out of 10 it's not going to work. This is how you end up in these messy situations where you see it all the times with celebrities. Oh, they took half his money. They did all this, did all that. Yeah, because you were rocking with someone who probably was never really into you. You chose someone based off the physical. You let them run all over you. You let them disrespect you. They didn't respect you as a man. They didn't do none of that. I can tell. I can tell how the woman treats that man, whether he has her respect or not. And that shines on you, man, the man, right? And that goes back to them not even having a male influence, because they're only going to act out what they've been around and what they've been told and taught. So if you have not picked up any traits from a man, then yeah, you're going to have these women run over you. You're going to have these women exploit you easily, right? I had another phrase, but I'm trying to, I'm not going to curse on this one. I want to be classy on this one, but I had a phrase for that, for those type of men, and I see it, and I go, wow, I don't know, it couldn't be me. And they end up suffering the worst of the worst consequences. So even though they have all this money, you see it all the time with celebrities, people of notoriety. We're talking about the guys. They get the certain prototype of women that they have. They all look the same, and a lot of them end up in the same predicaments because they don't have a filtering system. That's why. It's as simple as that. They do not have a filtering system. It has nothing to do with, oh man, well, if you had that money, you'd be in that same situation. Wrong. Wrong. Because when you're standing on business, you have a filtering system. Once you implement that filtering system, 9 times out of 10, they will dismiss themselves, young men. If you stand on business, right? You stand on business, 10 toes down, you have your filtering system. Class, right? Elegance, the way she carries herself, the way she talks, the way she dressed, all that stuff. All that stuff plays a role. I'm not saying you got to walk around like a nun, but you're not going to embarrass me in public. See, if you start standing on that, and then they go, oh, you can't tell me what to do. Oh, blah, blah, blah. That's it. Get your. I was finna say something. Almost as quick as that. Soon as they start resisting on simple things that they should want to value, right? Because especially if you're young, you're trying to build a family, this is the woman that's going to raise your child. So yeah, the exterior may look good, but if she don't have nothing upstairs, is that the type of woman that you want raising your child? So this is where it goes back to the value system. This is where, you need to have that, leading that on the forefront. The physical, yes, it does play a role in its part, but that is not the end all be all. That is not the first thing that you should, all right, hey, this is the, what do you call it, deal breakers and things like that. What she got up here? Is she goal orientated? Right? Well, because you just don't want no one just going after your bread, right? Is she goal orientated? How does she carry herself? Right. That does show a lot about the person. The way she conducts herself in public. Hey, you represent me now. You're going to have to cut all that that nonsense out. You ain't finna be embarrassing me out here in public. Nah, nah, nah. Right. But that lets you know her value system, how she was raised. What does she hold in high regard? Does she see herself as somebody to be held in high regard? All of that. Yes, sir. So let's get on to the next one. Parenting. Leave that in the hands of she said, leave that in the hands of someone else and think that is going to come out right. That's I like that one. So she was just talking about parenting. Basically, if you leave your parenting in the hands of someone else and thinking that it's going to come out right, you're sadly mistaken. I took that as parents, you are the first teacher, especially the mother. You are the first teacher. Society is going to do what society does. And I'm not saying that society is not going to have its influence on an individual or not. But you being the parent, you are the first teacher. It is your job and your duty to instill that those core values, solid, strong values, so that when that child do walk amongst the people in society, those value system that they learn at home, it is now, they reflect that. So yes, don't expect society to raise your kids right, because most of the time society is going to be deceptive, manipulative. What? I'm getting the word all messed up in here. What? 50 minutes. God, dog. I said I wasn't going to be that long, but hey, it is what it is. I got 2 more pages. I need to figure out how to wrap this stuff up. But like I say, discipline, man. Discipline, you're not going to get nowhere with the shortcuts. So hey, if you can't stomach this, then oh well. Let's get to the next one. He spoke about Chadwick Boseman. Rest in peace. She talked about how he studied history, and he learned the origins of things. And I spoke about that before, about not being tricked out of your position, right? And he put it all under the umbrella of African cosmology. That's a very important one, especially being a young black man. Chadwick Boseman. So I wrote that down because he was a man, you can tell by the way he carried himself, his aura, his presence, that he was a well-educated man. He was a man of substance, a man of knowledge, right? And you can just tell by the roles that he accepted and his craft. He took everything serious. He seemed like he was a very hard worker. And it does not surprise me that he did study. He learned the origins and he put it under the umbrella of African cosmology. And that's some of the things that I was talking to earlier. For me, this is where I obtain my unbreakable spirit. Yeah, this is where I obtain my unbreakable spirit. See, you have to look at yourself as an operating system. So I'm kind of talking along of computerized programs, but everybody has their own operating system. Meaning, what you eat probably is not going to make me poop. You have to understand. I have to obtain knowledge of self, right? You have to obtain knowledge of self, and so that's when I was talking about earlier about understanding history. Because if you don't understand your history, you're bound to repeat it. History will repeat itself. So you don't want those bad things repeating itself. So this is why it is very imperative to understand what has happened before you, because there is nothing new under the sun. So since there is nothing new under the sun, if I understand what happened before me, now I can game plan on what's there to come in the future, and how to thwart those type of obstacles, how to prevent from falling into those potholes. It's not a coincidence. I don't have a lot of the issues and problems that most men do, because I humbled myself early on. I listened to my elders, right? I seen how they were moving. When they were talking, I paid attention. Even though they may not have thought I was not paying attention to them, I was paying attention to them. I seen the power of education. I seen the power of knowledge. I seen that, and I seen what it can obtain. And I also seen when people were not moving right, right, and I seen the negative effects that it can have on a person. So I avoided that, even though I did not experience it myself, but just by me being observant and me paying attention and listening to my elders when they told me do not do certain things. I did not just dismiss them because I respected them. I respected them because of the way they carried themselves, because they exuded that. I seen it. I know their history. They were not lying to me. And so I fully absorbed the knowledge that they presented to me. And then I applied that to myself. Yeah, that's how this works. So when I say this is where understanding the African cosmology, understanding that it takes a community, tribalism and things, I'm gonna say tribalism, but knowing that we do come from tribes, right? And learning about African culture, and I did that because hey, these people look like me. Learning about that culture and what they contributed to modern civilization. Now, when people who are against me just because of the color of my skin and they come spreading these falsehoods, I knew that I could dismiss it. So when I hear, because I saw this on a video one time, there was this person saying, "Hey, do you know? Can you name anything a black person contributed to society?" And they were just sitting there dumbfounded, and they couldn't. They were speaking to a black person. It was a white man speaking to a black person, and she didn't know anything. And so because yeah, and I'm like, wow, she didn't know anything, and I was startled. I was baffled by this. And so growing up, there's always jokes. You see messages and I don't even want to say that. Well, yeah, you're going to experience racism, right? And they're going to spew and all this negative stuff. They're going to paint and put the worst of us out here on the media and things like that. And if you do not have an understanding of knowledge of self, you're going to think that that's who you are. You're going to think that your inception within this country come from quote unquote slavery, right? And then yeah, that's what you're going to think. Is you're just going to start from there and you're going to move forward and you're only going to learn from what they taught you within school, which I call default knowledge. I got to be careful with some of the phrases that I use because I want to start coining these things, just like this one. I want to start coining these phrases. But yeah, default knowledge. Default knowledge is only going to get you um, basic stuff. You're not going to stand out on anything. So back to what I was saying, when I started understanding the things that my ancestors did, what they contributed, I was, like, wow, I was blown away. These people were very intelligent. They would tell you that, oh man, all you did was live in huts and all this other stuff, and you're chunking spears. Yeah, it's just because they don't know any better, for one. But yeah, these are some of the racist comments that you may run into. They would tell you that. They actually think that that's all the Africans did, not knowing that Africans were the ones that the creation of modern civilization. Things that we use and utilize to this day come from Africa. People don't know this. They even speak about it in all kind of texts where, and this is before BC, all this stuff. They were moving and grooving. They had it cracking. They had it cracking, had it going on, creating all kind of things, a calendar. And I even seen something they had something to do with the women's cycle. They had little devices and stuff to know when the woman about to get on her cycle. Man, I was blown away. And so when I started to dive into those things, I figured out then I had to look no further. This is where I'm like, okay, this is where I get my confidence from because I come from that. I know I come from greatness. So once I adopted that mentality, that was it. That's where I obtain my unbreakable spirit, because that's what we are. And once I understood that, the nonsense, the outside chatter from society, it could not break me. They could not break me. I can put myself in position anywhere and I'm going to succeed. I'm going to rise and excel to the top, because I know I put in the work, for one, but also knowing that I come from that, and that is my true belief. Uh, you can accomplish that. You can accomplish that. And you know that, oh man, these little tricks and stuff that they put in front of you that to make you stumble and fall, that's not going to work on me, because I'm greater than that. But when I understood my true knowledge of self, that's when all that came to fruition. I was not going to get that um, for me anywhere else. I was not going to get that. I was not going to receive that just through default knowledge. So that's something that I would tell to any black woman, black man. Yeah. Know your history. Know your history. I'm telling you, it'll work wonders for you. All right. Next one. Hollywood. Oh, yeah. She spoke about this. I think this is my last page of my notes. Woo! Oh, I was strong. That boy, that boy be going, man. Hollywood. She spoke about young ladies' attire. She said, "Don't take it as personal criticism." But she said, women were dressed in strips of clothing. She said, "No man wants his woman dressed like that." Said, "No man wants his woman dressed like that." Also stated, it is not sexy, that the women are emulating what they see. And that's kind of what I was speaking about. And I think this is where she may have come into some backlash. There's always this thing with clothing. Oh, you can't tell me what to wear, can't tell me what to dress, all of these things. And I spoke about image and how you want to be perceived and how you want to be viewed. So you're right. Nobody can control what you wear. Nobody can control how you dress. That's your right. That is your prerogative, right? But just know that we don't have time to. Nobody's going to get the entire booklet of you up front. So the first thing we're going to notice is what we see. And then what we see, we're going to use that as our interpret. We're going to interpret what we see is that is you. That's how this works. So if we see you dressed in a provocative fashion, then we're just going to think, oh, this person is sexual or all about sex or does, just loose with their body. That's just how it is in society. I'm not saying that's right or wrong, but you must know the way of the land in order to manipulate the land, right? And you must know how the environment perceives you and how I would say that you're kind of like lowering your worth. So if you take Phylicia Rashad, let's say if she came in that interview and she was scantily dressed or cladly dressed, whatever that word is, you think that she would be able to command that type of respect? If she was the one who was always dressing provocative, you think she would have that type of respect all throughout the years? You think she would be able to command that type of respect? And so those are the things that, especially if I had a daughter, I would instill, like, hey, be careful on how you're dressing out here. Especially, being a young lady, that's very imperative. You don't want people to be looking at you like that. That you're not going to get favorable actions when you dress and you present yourself in that fashion. People are just going to look at you as sex or a sex object. That's pretty much it. That's all you're going to obtain from that is sex. So unfortunately, I do see a lot of women who dress in that fashion, and that's all they obtain from that is sex. So when they get sex and then they end up pregnant with somebody because they did not have any type of filtering system, it's no wonder why they end up with a lot of guys of no value, right? Who are running out on their kids, who, quote unquote deadbeat dads. It's no wonder. You're attracting any and everything. You have no filtering system. You have no filtering system. And just like how I was saying, how the way she commanded respect, when you dress a certain way, yeah, you will command a certain level of respect. You will command a certain level of respect. So, and that goes for, male or woman. You do want to watch, and how you act and maneuver and present yourself in public. And especially nowadays, because as the technology grow, it's I'm seeing the change in careers and tech and the effects of technology, and where it's going to come a point to where it's going to, maybe not my generation, we're going to catch some of it, but you're going to have multiple revenue streams. And so since everybody has these social media platforms, you're going to have to start maneuvering as if you are a business. And so if you're maneuvering as if you are a business, then perception is key when you are in a business. And so you want people to support your business. You want people to visit your business, right? And you want to come across as being trustworthy. That's the business side, because that's what they're doing. I mean, you applying for these jobs, and they'll go look at your social media. I'm sure that they do this. Go talk to these HR reps. I'm sure they do this. They'll go look at your social media, and if you're someone who's over there with the nonsense and foolishness, you probably won't even get the job, because you'll be looked upon as a bad or negative representation of their business, because they have an image and things like that to protect. All right. Last but not least, what I said, she said emulating what they see, who control. No, I'm gonna say last but not least. Emulating what they see, who controls it, importance of ownership. And that's what I was speaking about earlier with the hip hop thing. There is an importance of ownership and who controls it, because if they own it, then they will control your culture. If they're controlling your culture, then you do not have any say so on the parameters or their standards. Hence, this is how you can get a Vanilla Ice can rise to the top in hip hop that was predominantly black. This is how this happens, right? Because we didn't own it. I spoke about Post Malone earlier. No knock on them. I'm not saying they don't make good music. What I'm saying is how. When I talk to people who look like me, oh yeah, you listen to Post. I haven't heard any type of their music. So I'm like, dang, who's buying this stuff? Well, when you got other people who is not for you and by you, owning the platforms that you're able to express yourself and controlling the music, then they're going to come in with their agenda. Hence, this is how they flipped everything, and I spoke about that earlier, to where you can see the messages and all this stuff. And they tricked and fooled you to say that, oh, it did not sell. Wrong. Go look at the numbers from back in the day when they had conscious rappers. It was heavy. It was very popular. It sold off the shelves. The people who owned it just did not like the message that it was sending out, because it does not fit their agenda. It's part of that school to prison pipeline thing. Yeah, we got to have some people who fill up these jail cells. You got to have people who fill up these jail cells. That's why they're going to continue to build it. So if you're in business with people who have privatized prisons, then hey, we got to have people who build up these jail cells. Well, how do have people who fill up these jail cells? Well, how do you get people to fill up these jail cells? Well, you corrupt the minds of the youth. How do you corrupt the minds of the youth? Music is one way. Imagery, movies, and things like that. Yeah. And then you have them adhere to this bang, bang, shoot them up, bang, 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 bang. You make that popularized, and guess what? They're going to copy that. And that's what she spoke about, that kids emulate what they see. They emulate what they see. Hence, you see it now. All the rappers getting shot up, all the rappers going to jail. They're emulating what they see. It didn't start that way. And I guarantee you, if we owned it, a lot of that as far as on the musical influence side, that you would be able to eliminate that variable. So yes, it is important to own and have standards when it comes to your culture. Look inside yourself. She said, and I think that's the last one. Look inside yourself. Insecurities. Yeah. So I'm glad she spoke on this because a lot of people you may see someone you think that they have everything figured out. So this is one of the most, recognized as one of the most beautiful women in the world. She's always been in that category, right? And she spoke about her insecurities, thinking that did not look good enough. Her, the one that's the gold standard, and she even felt that way. And she had insecurities. But she said she got her true value when she decided to look inside herself. Uh and my interpretation of that is, and I wrote that down when I apply, what is it? Yeah. So look inside yourself. The way I view that is, and it's something that I do a lot. Especially when you're goal orientated, when you're trying to achieve something, um, you want to apply, you want to give the best version of yourself. So this is how you can build confidence as well. When you give your best version of yourself in that task or situation that you're in, you cannot lose. How is that? What do you mean, Brian? Just because you give your best version, your best shot, doesn't mean you're going to obtain that goal. What you're saying, you never failed. See, sometimes it becomes like a mind play or whatever, a word play. But no, technically no, because how can you fail at something that was not meant for you? So when you give the best version of yourself and you did not achieve it, that means it was not meant for you. And that comes from knowledge of self. So once you begin to start studying true knowledge of self, history, and those who came before you, who had to traverse a similar path as you, right? And chances are these people who look like you, but there are people who don't look like you can learn a lot from too, which I have. So when you start figuring out yourself and you learn knowledge of self, you're able to um there's a clearer path of where you should be going. There's a clearer path of this is what I should be doing. You feel compelled to do certain things. Once you've been introduced to something that clicks inside of you, there's a certain feeling. You have this type of urgency, or you're compelled to want to move in that direction. That is you. That is your calling. Don't do it just because it's popular or you see everybody else doing it. That's where a lot of people, you mess up. You see everybody else doing it. You're doing it because it's cool. You're doing it just because it's the trend. It's the latest trend, the latest fad, or whatever you want, whatever it is, and that's not for you. You're doing that because you don't have knowledge of self, and then you're falling into these. You keep failing because you're doing something that's not meant for you, right? You're doing something that's not meant for you. That just is what it is. I don't want to start giving examples, but because I don't want to hurt feelings. I'm trying to be positive in this thing. I'm trying to be positive in this thing. But you're doing something that's not meant for you. I'll just say it like this. I'll use myself as an example. My body type and my build. Do I see people who look like me exceed in powerlifting? Do I see these people who my type, my build, my height, my weight? Do I see this mold, this body? Have I seen people like me exceed in Olympic powerlifting? This is what I mean by that. And this is so, and that's what I mean by that. No, you don't. That's the answer. No, you don't. My body is not made for Olympic style powerlifting. And so when you have knowledge of self, you know you're not. Hey man, that ain't my thing. That's not my cup of tea right there. I don't have the body type for Olympic powerlifting. And that's what some of you are doing. You're out here looking like me, trying to excel and exceed in Olympic powerlifting. You're going against men 300 pounds, 6'5", whatever, these big burly type dudes. And I'm trying to compete against them, and I'm constantly failing. Now I have low self-esteem, and I'm like, hey, man, I wonder why I can't win in this. Why can't I exceed in this? Because I lack knowledge of self. Because I don't know my own history. Because I have not did any type of research on people who look like me, my body type, what they excelled in, what I can pick from there. I have not been introduced to things outside of my natural environment to even find what is my niche. What can I be drawn to? You're just going off of what you see as popular, right? Now, sometimes you can excel in those things that are popular. Some people do that. So I'll just use myself for example. I noticed when it came to writing, after a certain while, it was very, I don't want to say, it was something that came easy to me when it came to writing, even though writing was not popular, even though this is me as a young man. I'm writing and I'm like, even though sometimes I didn't even like doing it, but I would always get good grades on that when I really tried. I would get damn good grades in my papers. And I noticed that. So that was something that I kept in my back pocket, that this is something that I'm excelling in, and I'm not even trying. I'm not even giving it my all, but I'm doing better than most. See, this is how you identify some of your niche, your talents. Right? Stop trying to do what everybody else is doing just because it's popular. Okay, I mean, give it a shot, right? You can give it a shot. There's nothing wrong with giving it a shot, but also be realistic with yourself. So when you're putting yourself in a position to fail and you're constantly failing, this is how you adapt a loser's mindset. This is why, for me personally, I put myself in position to win. And I put myself in position to where I don't lose. So to wrap it up, and let me explain this right quick. Me saying I put myself in position to win and I put myself in position to where I do not lose. I know my strengths. I know my weaknesses. That come from knowledge of self. That come from research. That comes from knowing my history, my lineage, things like that. My ancestors, I'm standing on the shoulders of my ancestors, all of that. And I apply that to darn near everything as I do when I move forward. And if it's something that I know that I need to accomplish, I put my best foot forward, right? I put my best foot forward. Now, this is my thoughts. Now, whether I win or lose in that, just because I put my best foot forward and I have that understanding, as long as I put my best foot forward, I would not lose. Just because I did not achieve it does not mean that I lost. It only means that, hey, this was not meant for me. That's it. So you win when you put your best foot forward, because that means you've covered all bases. There was nothing else that you could have physically done to achieve this, because it was not meant for you to achieve. It was, you have to go somewhere else. It is not meant for you to achieve this. And that's fine. That's out of your control. So you've done everything that you can control. And so when you start looking at things in that manner, you do not lose. You do not lose. You just went into an area that was not meant for you. See, you see how that works? And for me, because I adopted that mentality early on, I was successful more times than not being successful. And so that's where the confidence comes from. You begin to, okay, now I see when I give 100%, I'm walking out with something. And so that's where I like to call it the Kobe Bryant mindset. or the Kobe Bryant mentality. They say mama mentality, but this is what I mean by when I say the Kobe Bryant mindset. And this is how I feel about myself. But you have to be realistic about it. And that's based off of you putting in the work. When you put in the work, this is when you can truly adopt that mindset. It's one thing to say it, but it's actually another thing to actually put in the work and actually execute this thing. So a lot of people say it, mama mentality, all this other stuff, but now that really comes from the work that you actually put in. If you put in the work or not. So when I put in the work and I say, hey, I'm finna Kobe Bryant that thing, meaning me being Kobe Bryant, I don't care who you have on that basketball court. I'm going to do my numbers. I don't care if you pull some aliens, you can pull humans from the future, bring some humans back from the past, or even put the ones in the present. If you drop Kobe Bryant off on that basketball court, he's going to do his numbers. It's as simple as that. And so when it's something that I know that I put in that work in, or it's something that I know I'm set out to achieve, right? And I've done the research and I'm like, hey, this is what does it take to achieve? I did got the knowledge on this, and does it align with my personality? Can I actually do this? Right? Realistically, once all those things match up and then I go full throttle, I said, I'm gonna do my numbers. It don't matter. Oh, it don't matter. I don't care who you are. I don't care who. I'm still gonna do my numbers. I'm still going to set off and achieve what I set off to achieve. Take this right here. And I still haven't really, boom, because there's a lot of different nuances that come with broadcasting. See, the thing is, a lot of people, they do a lot of things for financial incentives. I'm not doing this for financial incentives. I'm not even doing this to try to, hey, man, get those shock value and get all these numbers. I'm doing it because I want to do it, first and foremost. I'm doing this just because I want to do it. And because when I first started, it's like, oh, man, I saw the game. I was like, oh, these people think I'm trying to get on their platform so I can take audience from them and then I can just use that to make money. Or they wanted me to, this is how you get on people's platform. They want you to pay. So I was like, oh, man, this stuff all about money. It's not about, the positive message or, this shirt, no drunk drivers and all this stuff. It's not, no. Most of these fools, I won't say fool, most of these people on the internet, they're doing this for finances, right? They're doing this so they can have another revenue stream. And so with my mindset, I'm like, nah, I can't do anything for the revenue stream. That's not me. That's not in my heart. Because once you start doing this thing for the money, that's when you become compromised. And see, this is what, when you start, and this is how I evaluate people. Not saying because you're doing something for money, but once you become, or you allow yourself to be compromised, that lets me know what type of man or woman you are, what type of integrity you have or what you don't have, what type of character you have and what character you do not have. So I could not sit here, in good faith and be talking about my family. Oh, it's almost like you have to solicit them on a business mindset. And so this is the environment this is. Most of these people out here are just doing this stuff for the money. I'm just doing it because I want to. I'm doing it because I like to do it. But I haven't just went full because it comes, there's a certain there's certain things that come along with that. Because I know once you obtain a certain level of notoriety and popularity and you start excelling in the public eye, now you're going to have people coming to attack you. It's going to be very difficult to have a traditional quote unquote career or job and then do this too. You can't, you almost have to pick and choose. In order to truly succeed in this field, and I'm giving you the game, this is based off research and all this other stuff. You take it and run with it. Go ahead. In order to truly succeed in this field, you must have your own revenue income. Because if you do not have your own revenue of income, Now you have become compromised. You become the person that's just going to talk about current events. You become the person that's just going to talk about things that can get you to clickbait. You have no morals. You have no integrity, right? So then when your detractors or the people who, because you're going to ruffle feathers, what they're going to do is go after your whatever your place of employment. They will try to do that, right? If you start speaking up enough, they'll go after your place of employment. They'll do research, try to find out where you work at, and then they'll try to get you terminated. These are the things that you have to. That's why I say it. In order to truly do this the way it needs to be done, you must have some type of outside revenue source. You can't have like a traditional employment. You can, but it's tough to do it. It'll be tough to do it that way. So that's why I'm like, I'm just more of, hey, I'm just going to do what I feel. As long as my face is on this screen and you get to gauge me, you get to engage with me, you get to see how I'm talking, right? You get to hear the things that I'm talking about. You get to see what type of person that I am, right? You get to see my personality, you get to see me laugh, joke, do all these things, and I get to show all these different types of emotions. Then that is and was the success, and that was my intention, because I did receive the acknowledgement or the, I don't want to say recognition, or the responses that I set out to achieve. When people sent me emails and messages saying that I prevented them from committing suicide, that's what I wanted to do, because they already knew my story. So if they can see me doing this, what makes them think that they can't do it? And that's basically what the woman told me. If this man can sit here in front of everybody and still laugh, still joke, still remain positive for the most part, still want to enlighten and all these other things, after he's endured what he's endured, why can't I do it? I need to tighten up. There were a lot of people who did this. There were a lot of people who told me, just because they see me, they see this shirt, they think twice about drinking and driving. So that was the success. That is the goal. That is what I set out to do. I was never here to set out to, oh man, I'm going to monetize this and monetize that, because I did know when it comes with monetization, there's a certain thing that come along with that. You start taking people's money, it's a different ball game. I'm like, I don't want your money. Keep them little trinkets. I got to be me. That's the type of man I am. I have to be myself. I'll bypass the money and notoriety and all that other stuff as long as I'm me. That is the victory. That's how I represent no drunk drivers, right? That's how I represent my family. That's how I continue on the message. Oh man, I didn't went on 130. That boy's feeling good. That's crazy, man. I can keep going too. That's the crazy part. I can keep going. And I know I said this already. This is the last one. Let me look. Okay, it's the last of my notes. See, look at all these notes. Got that page. Tell you, that boy be going in. Had that page. These are notes. This is all just from the interview I just broke down. That page, and that's the last one. She says, make yourself great by making others greater. Ooh. And that kind of goes back to community. She didn't let me down. Phylicia Rashad, you did a well job. You did a damn good job. You did not let me down. You were everything what I expected you to be. Everything that I expected you to be. And we need more people like that to express themselves. We do. Because all you see is smut. All you see are the bad things. And a lot of times people are deterred from expressing themselves like this because they're the naysayers. You're going to get pushback. You're going to get this negative feedback. Well, you have to be able to counter the bad stuff that's out here. So people who are career minded, educational, goal orientated, we do need more you like that out here. to counteract the nonsense. I just told you most of these 90% of the content out here is just for money. So if you're doing it just for the money, where's the integrity and value system in that? So why do you think people are being misled and led astray? So the common man or woman, you should have a page too. That's how you counter all this nonsense. You need to have a page. How did you navigate through this thing we call life? How did you avoid the pitfalls? People need to hear that story. Right? And so she says, make yourself great by making others greater. Yeah, I'm with that. Because you mean you think about it. You make somebody, you contribute to somebody else's greatness. You're going to get that respect. 9 times out of 10, they're going to return the favor upon you. You're going to receive all type of blessings. You're going to be looked upon favorably, right? People will give you the benefit of the doubt. This is how you build a community. These are the things that we lack because we're so self-centered. We don't look out for the next man or woman. We're just worried about self. The children and the people around, they suffer because of that. Yeah, it's cool to get yours, but what about the next man and woman? And I'll close out with this. I learned this early on and this is why the people who, man, the people who I used to call myself the myth buster or there was another word I used to the what is it I can't think of it right now, but basically I was the one who would, and I took pride in this. I love doing this. I would break and bust up these stereotypes that they had of people who look like me. And I enjoy doing that, by the way. Even to this day, I enjoy doing that. So I used to hear people, oh man, I don't see color. And then they start saying these things that would talk about these types of stereotypes. And they would always be befuddled why I would always take the position of the people who they were talking down on. Because, if you try to make a link between the people who they were talking down on and then make that link in connection to myself, you would think that we were two totally different individuals or two opposite individuals. But I learned early on that I am nothing by myself. It takes a village. I learned early on, we all we got. I learned early on, we have no friends. Right? And so when you start incorporating this type of mindset early on, it shapes how you move. It does not mean that you're going to be rude to potential allies, or you hate potential allies, or you dislike potential allies, or anything like that. It's just that I have you have a better understanding of the law of the land. So to try to tie this up, if I'm thinking, hey man, we all we got and we have no friends, well, I have to make others great I have to make myself great by making others greater. So that comes in the form of assistance, right? Knowledge, easily able to give wisdom. Everybody who I've trained, any type of job field that I've been in, anybody who I've trained, they've always excelled further than me. That's real time, real life. In any field that I've been in, if I have that knowledge and I see somebody coming along, right, and they're good heart, good intention, and all that stuff, I give them all the game that I got. I give them all the knowledge that I have, and I've seen this happen, real time, real life, on multiple occasions. And I used to wonder, like, why is it that the people who when I pour into them, they take off. But then when I get into the situation, I expect the same, but I don't get it. But then that's when I learned that, I have a knack for teaching, for one, I have a knack for teaching, and two, due to the things that I was taught and then the concepts that I believe in, this is how I'm able to pull this off. This is how I'm able to pull things like this off. I don't want to start giving the numbers up, and I ain't gonna tell that man business. But it was the one of the last people who I trained. Oh, they that boy to the moon. He to the moon, and I love it. We still talk to this day. Train him how to do the job, and now he getting more bread than me. But that's how this works, though. That's how this works, and I'm happy for him. But anyway, I think that's it, man. Hour and 30. Ooh, that boy went long. Hour and 30. Yeah, you can go ahead and break this off into. You don't have to absorb this in one showing. Uh, you can break this off into multiple days, right? Multiple days. Whatever how you do it. Man, you ain't doing nothing else. Go ahead and watch this video. But anyway, I think that's it, man. No drunk drivers. We out.